Welcome to the East Orlando Emergency Department video guide on how to use the Level 1 Rapid Infuser. Of course, we're going to use the Level 1 Rapid Infuser to quickly and safely deliver large volumes of fluids to our patients. This machine is equipped to deliver not just liter bags of saline, but also packed red blood cells, cryoprecipitate, and plasma products. We'll go over all those in a second. Set up real quick. The first thing we're going to want to make sure that you do is plug it in. Cord is down here. You just want to make sure that, again, that's plugged into the wall. Starting from top to bottom, you're just going to do a real quick check of the equipment just to make sure everything is intact. You have two sections for your fluids. You want to make sure that the doors operate correctly, nothing is broken, and that they can open and lock. Here's going to be your tubing to pull into the heat exchanger. So you just want to make sure that this button here is intact. Heat exchanger, everything's here. This is going to be where your air detection is, so if there's any air bubbles in your tubing, this is going to get very angry at you and start beeping. As far as equipment that you need to collect, not a whole lot. You're going to need to collect the fluids, blood, plasma, cryoprecipitate that you're going to be infusing, and then you're also going to need the kit. The kit is going to be located in the trauma cabinets, right down here. This is the same kit that's located right here. There should be one in each trauma room. All right, let's go over how to set this thing up. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to get everything connected into the rapid infuser. Then we're going to prime the line. Then we're going to turn it on and infuse the patient, okay? So if you'll see, there are numbers on here. So literally we're going to go 1 to 2, 3 to 4. It's set up nice and easy. So this long piece right here, you're going to take the long tube and you're going to 1. This slides right in here into 1. 2, you're going to lift this knob up, push this in, and you have to pull down really hard. A lot of times people don't pull down hard enough on this knob right here. You really have to push down on this knob. 3 to 3, 3 down here. This is our filter that goes into the heat exchanger. So you're going to want to leave enough room right here. You're going to push that tube in. This comes up and in. So to release, you push down the tab and it's a little hinge. To lock it in correctly, you just push up and in. This locks into here. Make sure it's snug and tight. You'll hear a little clipping sound. And that's actually the whole setup. From here on out, you're going to click and make sure everything is clamped off. All the rollers are clamped. So you have at the very bottom, closest going from the patient all the way up, you have the roller clamp. One clamp here. One clamp here between the heat exchanger and the transfer tubing. Up here, you start to have one big clamp. And then of course, each of your spikes has its own clamp. We're only going to infuse 1 liter of saline, so I'm just going to throw that to the side. So that's everything set up. Next, we're going to want to grab our fluids or whatever we're infusing. So you're going to pop it off. Ideally, what you want to do is, if you can, burp it a little bit. You want to get rid of all the air out. All the air out. Spike your bag. That way you have no air in your bag. You can open the door. And here, if you can see, there are actually 4 places to set up. Fluids is going to be this hook up here. Now if you have packed red blood cells, cryoprecipitate, you can hang them down here based on their size, but fluids are pretty big with the liter bag. So we're actually going to hook that up here and close the door. You want to make sure it locks. It's a little tight fit, you might have to jiggle it a little bit, but to make sure that the door locks. From here on out, you can now go ahead and unclamp all your fluids. Unclamp here, 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 here. And last but not least, the rolly pin. Now that you're rolling it out, everything is unclamped. You can prime the tubing. As you can see now, this tube is pre-primed because we did a dry run, so it's already leaking, but you would see the fluid or blood or whatever you have coming through here. You want to make sure that you prime this first, of course. And when you don't have any air bubbles, you can turn it off. So there's a power button and an off button. Green button is power. You want to turn the power button on. That loud beep is checking for air. Light immediately went out, which means we primed it well and didn't have any air bubbles. As far as warning signs, now that we're down here, this means that the heat is working. This one right here, this would go off if one of these things isn't clipped in correctly. Usually if this light down here is going off, that means this clamp number 2 wasn't pulled down all the way. So really anchor down on that, make sure it's clipped if this light is going off. But it's not, so it looks like we're good. Once that's all hooked up, power is on. You can now you can connect it to your patient and open it up. Now you'll see it's coming out just a little bit here. This is gravity. This is coming out gravity, not very rapid. When you're ready, up here in this minus sign, switch it to plus. That turns it on. Pressure is going to build, and as you can see, now we have rapid infusion. Oh yeah. So so when you're doing this, make sure that you have gone ahead and checked the IV for patency, making sure that everything is tightened before you turn on the rapid infusion.